Oh, right. Okay. I am filming. Oh, you can't really see my pumpkin. There, we'll put that there. Okay, great. Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I'm doing a cosplay storytime video. It's been a while since I've done like a proper cosplay storytime video, which is funny because like that was my main kind of bread and butter content when I first started YouTube, but it's been a while since I've made one because I haven't had that many kind of notable experiences that I wanted to share. But the thing is that I have a bunch of like really short stories that I could share. So the theme of today's video is going to be like a really long compilation of little cosplay stories that don't necessarily warrant their own full-length video, but I can rather just kind of like share back to back to make like a longer video. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna try and make it as long as I can because I know that like, you know, it's really fun to just kind of put these videos on in the background and listen to them for like a nice long length of time. So I'm gonna try and do my best to do like a substantial story time compilation for you guys. So sit back, maybe work on a cosplay, grab a drink. You can put this on in the background. Yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, I have my full list of stories, so I just have to decide which one I'm gonna do first. Let's start off with a Halloween one because Halloween is coming up. So this was from, what year was this? It would have been like 2011 or was it 2010? Oh my gosh. Okay, this was from 2010, Halloween 2010. I was cosplaying Toon Link from Legend of Zelda, and my friend and I, we decided to meet downtown in our hometown at this bubble tea place. We were gonna meet there and then kind of walk around town and explore and, you know, do things in our Halloween costumes. So we show up there and we're leaving, and there's this little girl with a grandparent sitting outside of the bubble tea place, and I overhear their conversation. And she is really upset that my friend and I are dressed up for Halloween during the daytime. And she's talking about how like Halloween starts at like 5 p.m. You're not supposed to dress up before 5 p.m. And it was very funny. I hope that she has learned since then that, you know, Halloween is a state of mind. You can dress up whenever you want to. If you want to dress up at 9 a.m. on Halloween and, you know, do that, that is totally fine. Halloween does not start at 5 p.m. I can understand, like, you know, if you're a kid and you have school during the day, that you can't necessarily dress up like during the day, so it makes sense to think that Halloween would start at like in the evening, but that's not the case. Halloween, you know, the world is your oyster. If you want to dress up, you know, whatever you want on Halloween, you can do that. So anyway, that was a cute little story. Let me just check these off so I don't like read any of these twice. Okay, Disgusted Lady at Fabric Store. Okay, so this was back in I want to say 2013, 2014. I was cosplaying Simon from Gurren Lagann. I don't know if you could pronounce it Simon or Simon because in the dub they pronounce it Simon. But the way it's spelled, people usually say Simon, so I don't know. We're just gonna call him Simon, and please don't come for me if that's wrong. So that was the cosplay that my mom and I were shopping for. In my hometown, there's the Fabric Land, which is kind of more of a chill fabric store. Like, it's not as formal of a fabric store, but then there's this other fabric store that has kind of more expensive fabrics and like does like brocades and stuff like that. It's a bit more of like a fancy fabric store. So we go and we're looking around for the fabric for this cosplay, and the lady comes over and is like, oh, are you guys like finding everything okay? She's this older lady, and you know, she's being very nice to us. We're at the cutting table, and my mom and I are kind of discussing between the two of us of like, will this fabric be suitable, or like, how should we sew this cosplay, or whatever, you know, we're talking about it. And she's like, oh, can I help? And my mom's like, oh, show her the picture. So I show her the picture, the reference of my character, and her face like immediately changes into like pure disgust. She's like happy, and then she's like, her demeanor completely changes. Like, she's like, oh, well, and then becomes like kind of really snooty about it. She's like, well, it looks like it doesn't have like a proper collar, and it looks like it doesn't have like this, and this. Like, she's trying to help, but she's clearly very put off by what we're making, which I don't really get because it's just a jacket. Like, he just wears a jacket. And it's not like an inappropriate outfit or anything. It's literally just like a boy wearing a jacket, right? Like, there's nothing like scandalous about it, right? For some reason, this totally put her off. And it was clear she didn't really want to help us. Not everyone is going to be understanding of cosplay. It's kind of interesting that she works at a fabric store, but like the idea of like someone dressing up as an anime character is like somehow unsavory to her. But anyway, to each their own, to each their own. I just thought it was a very interesting like reaction to something so like not that deep. But anyway, busking. So when I was in high school, I had to start earning money, and having OCD, it made it very hard to get like a proper job. I was too like scared to apply for a job, so I decided to busk instead because I used to play the violin and I cosplay. So I thought I could put the two together and do cosplay busking. It was very successful during this like one festival. There's a festival that happened on this one street in my town every year. It was like an art festival. And I would busk on the side of the street in my cosplay and made like a ton of money. Well, for like a teenager, it was a ton of money. And had like a really successful like experience there. But then when you get out of the festival and you're just busking like downtown, it was very hard to make money. So I made about like $10 an hour, and I could only really go for about 2 hours because I didn't have that big of a repertoire of music, and it was like summer, so it was really hot, and it just like it was not successful, unfortunately. So I learned very quickly that busking is very, very difficult, and I have mad respect for anyone who does busk because oh my gosh, it's hard. It's hard. So one really notable experience was during the art festival. I was busking as Umbreon from Pokemon. And I had in my little violin case, I had a bunch of Pokeballs that I had made because I used to make Pokeballs out of like foam balls, and I would paint them and put like foam on them to have all the different detailing. This little kid came up while I was busking and was looking very intently at the Pokeballs, was very interested in the Pokeballs. And he picks one up and is like looking at it and then looking at me and then looking at it and then looking at me. And I'm like smiling at him, and I think I probably tried to make conversation or something. He doesn't say anything, he just kind of looks at me and then drops it on the pavement and then walks away. Luckily, it wasn't damaged or anything. I was worried that it would get damaged because it's like a styrofoam ball on the concrete. But luckily it was okay, and I put it back in my violin case and kept on busking. So anyway, no harm done, luckily, but I just think it was just such a funny thing, like, for a kid to do, just like, look you dead in the eyes and just drop your Pokeball on the concrete, like, it was very funny. It was very funny. Last year for Christmas, I decided to do a Christmas Pomni cosplay because I was deep into Amazing Digital Circus, and I've always kind of wanted to do a specific like Christmas, like custom-made Christmas cosplay. Like I've done kind of like casual Christmas outfits where you wear like a fleece with like reindeer antlers or something, but I wanted to like custom make a Christmas cosplay. And since I was into Amazing Digital Circus, I thought who better than to be Pomni. So my friend and I, we organized this day where we would go downtown and take photos with all of the Christmas decor. One person would take photos, one person would pose, and then we'd switch off. And it was a really good day. But what was really funny was this was like mid-December, so it was really busy downtown. My friend needed boots for this photo shoot. Like she needed boots anyway, but she wanted to get like nice boots to take photos in as well. So we decided to meet in, I think it was like Aldo or something. It was like a fancy shoe store. So I'm fully dressed as Pomni. So we've got like the body paint and everything. And I'm walking through the mall and it's super busy. Like if you go on like a weekday, and my days off are usually on weekdays, and you're doing cosplay stuff, like it's not that big of a deal because there's not that many people and it's like whatever. But on this particular day, it was Christmas shopping season. So there were many people and they were all staring at me, and I was like, this is fine. I get to the Aldo and it's super obviously busy in the Aldo, and I'm trying to help my friend pick out her boots. So there are all these people like shopping for shoes, and there's just a jester, you know, a Christmas jester just hanging out in the Aldo, and people were very weirded out. The staff was very weirded out. And that's okay, because, you know, it is weird. It is very unusual. I don't know, it's just very funny, the contrast of like, you know, people shopping for fancy shoes versus like me dressed as Christmas Pomni, just like hanging out there. Very funny. That day, it was raining, and the shoes I wear for my Pomni cosplay, they're like shoe covers, but there's like vesties underneath, but the vesties are no longer waterproof because they have like holes in them, because I don't know, whenever I buy vesties, they just get holes in them. So I'm walking around and like my feet are completely wet, right? I didn't think to like bring a change of shoes or something. I was like,
we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna go for it.
So like looking back at the photos, like it looks pretty nice, but like you have to know that my feet are completely soaked while we're taking these photos. And then we go to this kind of little mall. Yeah, it's like an underground mall kind of situation. But outside, there's this beautiful Christmas tree that has a little walkway underneath, and we were taking photos there, and so many people came up to us and was like, oh, were you like hired by the mall to be here? And I'm like, oh, like that's like so nice. Like that's so sweet that they thought that. And I had to explain like, oh no, we're just taking photos. Anyway, I have really good memories from that day, and it was really cool getting to see people's reactions to Pomni. The fake geek girl situation. Okay, so it doesn't happen that often. It's only happened to me twice, and I've been going to cons for 15 years at this point, so it's not like a huge deal, but there are people at conventions who will like try to test your knowledge of like the media that you are cosplaying from, which is super dumb because first of all, your measurement as a fan is not measured by how much you know, it's measured by how much you like a thing. And you can love something and not be super knowledgeable with the trivia. Not everybody has the time to invest in like learning every single fact about a certain series, and there are series where you could be a fan of it for 10 years and there's just so much lore and so much like background knowledge that you can still be learning things even after like 10 years. And you know, some people are casual fans and that's okay. Like you could just have no interest in knowing like certain lore or whatever. It's really unfair to have the equivalent of like, oh, you like that band, name 5 of their songs kind of thing to like someone in a cosplay. Like obviously they've put in the effort to make that cosplay and wear it to a convention, like pay to be at the convention. Like I think they're a fan. I think we can safely say that. Anyway, rant over. So I was at Emerald City Comic Con. This would have been like 2014, 2015, and I was cosplaying Pepper from Iron Man, and my friend Erin was cosplaying Black Widow. So, and it was a really great time, and I loved it. So my friend is shopping. She's shopping for like t-shirts or whatever, and I'm just standing off to the side waiting, and this guy comes up to me and is like, oh, you're cosplaying Pepper. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, oh, and like your friend, you were cosplaying with your friend. I'm like, oh yeah, she's cosplaying Natasha. And he stops and he goes, Natalia. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, Natalia. And he has like this very smug expression on his face, like, Natalia, like actually, her name is Natalia. Now, I think most Marvel fans know that Black Widow's like actual like given name is Natalia Romanova. It's not that deep knowledge. And I knew that, like I knew this fact, but I was like more so confused as to like why we were using that name when like most of the time she's referred to as Natasha, right? Like it's totally fair to like call her Natalia, like that's totally fine. But like acting as if like, oh, actually Natasha is wrong, her real name is Natalia, you should be using the name Natalia. Like it just didn't make sense. So I was kind of caught off guard by that. So I'm kind of like, okay. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but in my confused kind of state, I was like, okay, well, if that's like what we're doing, then my name is Virginia. Now, if you don't know, Pepper's real name is Virginia. Pepper is just like a nickname that she goes by, but her like legal name is Virginia. So I basically turned the whole thing back on him. Like he's trying to like fake geek girl check me, and I just turned it right back on him. And he looks so confused. He's like, what? And like we kind of stare at each other for a little bit, and then we awkwardly go our separate ways. I was so confused about what was happening that I thought that I just made the conversation really awkward, and you know, it ended, and that was on me. But in retrospect, he was obviously trying to test my knowledge and prove that he knew more about Marvel than I did. But I unknowingly turned it back on him and tested his Marvel knowledge, and he did not know that particular fact. So yeah, just don't test people at conventions. Just don't. You can share fun facts. You can be like, oh, actually, like, here's a fun fact about this series. But don't be like, her name is Natalia, actually. How stupid do you feel right now? Like, don't do that. Just don't. No. Tiny Sonic. So this was at my first ever Comic-Con. I went in 2009. I was Peach from Mario, and it was so cute. Everyone really liked my costume, and it was a really pleasant surprise because I thought that I wasn't going to fit in, because I thought it was all going to be like Marvel and comics and stuff, and I hadn't quite yet gotten into comics. I was more like anime and gaming at that time. But I get there and there's a lot of like gaming related stuff, and everybody knows who Peach is, so it's like, it was great. This guy stops me and he's like, oh my gosh, you look great. I have a 4-year-old Sonic coming later and he's gonna absolutely love you. And sure enough, later in the day, there was this 4-year-old boy dressed as Sonic the Hedgehog. It was so cute, and I walk past him and I like wave at him and say, oh hi, and he just looks up at me with like these big eyes and is like just awestruck. And it was just such a cute reaction. It was such a cute reaction. So he was a little starstruck by Peach, which I think is just absolutely adorable. Emma at Hot Topics. So a few years ago now, I did like this photo shoot weekend thing, and I have a whole vlog from that. And I was cosplaying Emma from The Promised Neverland. And on my way home from downtown, I decided to stop at Metrotown Mall, which is this big mall in Burnaby, just to kind of like look around. And I had some time before my bus was coming, so I decided to kind of like explore the mall in my cosplay for no real reason. And I go into Hot Topic. And obviously in Hot Topic, they are totally chill with that whole thing. So one of the employees comes up and is like, oh, Emma, like, so good to see you. How are you doing? And asks me like, where are Norman and Ray? And I'm like, oh, they're not here. And then she goes on to explain that her favorite character is Phil. And we have this like lovely conversation about The Promised Neverland. And it was just really, really nice. It was really nice because, you know, in the mall, you don't expect people to like recognize what you're cosplaying, but obviously if you go to Hot Topic, they're gonna know. But it was really cute, just like seeing everyone's reactions in Hot Topic and like, you know, getting to have that chat. That was really cute. Okay, so Pick a Flick. Pick a Flick was this amazing video rental store. It had been around, I think, since the 80s, and it was in my hometown, and they were really, like, they had really cool people working there who were really knowledgeable about movies. It was like a really great vibe when you'd go in. And they were really good about having movies that weren't just like current and popular, but also older movies and foreign films and like more obscure stuff. So they had like a really amazing catalog. Anyway, this place was my childhood. And when we were doing Stranger Things, obviously Steve works in a video store. And so my friend Justine, her dream was to do a photo shoot in a video store. So she went to a bunch of different video stores and asked, and they either wanted to like charge like thousands of dollars for her to shoot there, or they just said no. So then I suggested Pick a Flick, because Pick a Flick is super chill and awesome. And the guy who like was the owner, really cool guy. So she asks him and he agrees. So we did this amazing little like day trip over to my hometown to take photos there. And it was amazing. Like, he let us come in before opening in the morning and do a full photo shoot, and was just like really, really lovely. And it was like such a full circle moment. I had been going to this video store since 1999 when I was a kid, and now got to like do a photo shoot there. And it was a really amazing experience and just like really, really lovely. So Pick a Flick unfortunately closed down about a couple of years ago now, which is really unfortunate, but like the memories will always stay with me. I loved Pick a Flick so much. So back in about 2013, 2014, I was really into Attack on Titan, and I cosplayed Armin all the time. So it was the summer and there was a convention happening in Vancouver. I still lived in my hometown at the time. And to get there, you have to take a ferry. The whole idea was that I was just going to do a day trip to this convention, but a friend offered to let me stay with them last minute, and so I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And so I like slept in like the clothes because I had traveled over in my normal clothes and then changed into Armin at the convention and did my makeup and everything. So I just had like my makeup, my street clothes, and then my cosplay, and that was it. So I like slept in my street clothes, changed back into Armin for like the third day, and then went back to the convention. So I was only supposed to be there for Saturday, but then I also got to stay for Sunday. And I was coming back with a bunch of people at the end of Sunday. But again, I didn't have very much with me. So I decided to just wear my Armin cosplay on the ferry. And it was so funny because there was this group of students on the ferry, and there was this one guy who was like really jazzed about the Attack on Titan cosplay. And so every time he saw me, he'd like make like direct eye contact and look super intense and then do like the salute at me. He'd be like, and then like keep walking, and he'd see me like throughout the ferry ride and would just be like, and then keep walking. And it was so sweet. It was so sweet. It was so awesome. I had the time of my life cosplaying Armin on the ferry, and then my dad picked me up at the ferry terminal, and I was like in full cosplay, and I was like, yeah, this is great. So that was really fun. Final story for today is this story from, it was 2 years ago at SakuraCon. My friends and I were cosplaying Demon Slayer. We kind of decided to like leave the convention pretty early and decided to go to the mall. So we went to this mall in, I believe, Linwood, which is about like half an hour outside of Seattle if you're driving. And we were just in our full cosplays, and we walked around the mall and went to like Hot Topic. And in the Hot Topic, there was like this younger boy. He was maybe like, I don't know, 12 to 14-ish. And I was cosplaying Mitsuri. He came up to me and he was like, I ship you with Obanai. And I was like, nice. Then he just like walked away. It was very funny. So we just had this like nice day just kind of walking around the mall in cosplay. But what was happening was, since it was Easter weekend, SakuraCon always happens on Easter weekend, they had photos with the Easter Bunny. So we decided, how fun would it be if we decided to take photos with the Easter Bunny in full cosplay, which is something I've never done before. I've never done cosplay photos with Santa. I've never done cosplay photos with the Easter Bunny, but we decided to do it. I'm just gonna grab it here. Okay. I think this photo is absolutely fantastic. The people at the booth were totally down with our cosplays, and like obviously the Easter Bunny was like totally down to play along, so it was really nice. It was probably one of the funniest things I've done in cosplay. I really cherish this photo. I think it's great, and yeah, just a really nice time. So there are some stories for you guys. I've been filming for about 40 minutes, so hopefully that's a nice long video for you guys. And I still have some stories left over, so I will be doing another one of these eventually, but for today, that is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what story was your favorite, and I'll see you guys all next time. But until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye!